Panama. That sounded really enthusiastic. I did like Panama, but that was like, yeah.
Panama. Hey, if you're new here, I'm Chris.
I'm Sarah.
And this is What No One Tells You. We're a travel podcast, and we talk to other travelers that are different than us, and sometimes we talk about our travels. And if you've been following our story and journey, whether it's on YouTube or through this podcast, you know that we've been driving the Pan American Highway. We've been hitting every country. We started in the U.S. We went all the way down through Mexico, Belize, Guatemala, El Salvador,
Honduras,
Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and now we are finally in Panama, and we can't wait to share with you what we experienced.
But first things first, if you like the podcast, leave us an honest review. Even just a rating would help if you're over on Spotify or on iTunes. And if you're on YouTube, give it a thumbs up and comment if you can.
I've never been more attracted to you than I am right now.
Chris has a hard time getting me to self-promote, but it is a crucial part of being a creator is having people interact with ratings, because that's how YouTube and iTunes and everybody else recommend us to other new audiences. So,
all right, her face is getting red. We're just gonna jump right in.
I blush very easily.
So, I think Panama for me, I really didn't have any expectations. The only thing I knew about Panama, and this is going to sound very ignorant, but it's very true, is the Panama Canal.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's the only thing I knew. I didn't know anything else about the country.
I knew a little bit, but yeah, admittedly not enough, but I think that's true of every place we visit. It's like you learn and see so much more. Like what you experience traveling is going to be so different than what you read about or watch on YouTube. Mm-hmm. So Panama's, I guess just a couple of quick facts about it. It's the southernmost country of Central America. Mm-hmm. It borders Colombia and Costa Rica, so it's right there. And
it actually used to be a part of Colombia.
It did. It did used to be a part of Colombia. It has the Panama Canal, which has given it its massive economic boost over the last century, but especially in the last decade or two. They've really made the Panama Canal like twice the size. They've essentially added an entire section where now they can do, was it double the ships through it?
I think double the ships and something even like taller or bigger ships. Yeah, all that, something
crazy big.
And most of the people in Panama, a lot of them live in Panama City. Most of the country is right there in the city.
So we're going to talk a little bit about like, I guess all the different places we hit up in Panama. And like everything in every place that we visit, I'm still going to feel like we have not seen and done it all. No. But Panama was very enjoyable. We did spend more time in the city than probably anywhere else, which was surprising. But I mean, of the cities, all the major cities, all the capitals we went to in Central America, I mean, this is compared to like Guatemala City, San Jose, Costa Rica, Managua, Nicaragua, Salvador City. It was by far my favorite. It was definitely the most modern and the most advanced of the cities we've been to in Central America.
Yeah. And it's funny, in the overlanding world, which is what we're in, like when we travel by truck through these places, a lot of overlanders will just they'll spend a lot of time in Costa Rica, which we did. And then once they get to Panama, they just beeline it. Because in order to get to Colombia and continue your route, you have to be able to ship your vehicle through the Darien Gap. And we'll talk about what the Darien Gap is here.
Around the Darien Gap.
We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But most people don't spend a lot of time here, and I really feel like they're kind of missing out.
But I'd say we did the same thing. You know how many times I say "but" on this episode? I always feel like I'm arguing. Are
you butt checking me right now?
Butt checking you. But I don't remember my point now.
But we did the same thing.
Oh, we did the same thing. Yeah, because when you're heading north to south, you know, you are trying to make a date to reach your ship. Like you have to book it so far in advance. You can't move it. So by the time you spend so much time in Costa Rica, because everybody falls in love with Costa Rica, even if it's expensive, it's still more affordable to do overlanding than it is in hotels. So you end up staying there a long time. And then you kind of feel rushed through Panama. And we did feel rushed through Panama, but we did get to go back for a second time to Panama, which is pretty cool. So I guess to explain. So we were in Central America. We were finishing up. We crossed the border into Panama, did a few days in Panama, actually about a week and a half. And then we actually had to fly back to the U.S. to go home for a conference. And that was before we were able to put our truck on the boat. So after the conference, we were only home for like 4 days. We turned around and went back to Panama to stick the truck on the boat and then to enjoy Panama for some more time where we actually just did hotels and all that kind of thing while we were waiting for the truck to actually leave port and head on its way. So when we went back, we had my dad with us. I've never gotten to travel internationally with my dad. My dad hasn't traveled internationally since he was a kid, and his dad was in the Air Force. So that was really fun to be there and experience that with him. And
was that fun for you?
It was really fun. Yeah. I want to get my parents, they're retired now. They both got their passports this year. And my mom would have come too, except for she was home watching their dog. They couldn't get a dog sitter on short notice.
Which meant she was watching our dog too.
Yeah, she did. She ended up taking Kramer too, because their dog and Kramer are best buds. So my dad ended up going with us. So it was me, my dad, and Chris, and he was so easy to travel with. But we had a lot of fun. I mean, he helped us load the truck up on the boat, and
yeah, we put him to work.
We did put him to work.
You're going to be in Panama. You're going to work for it. So
that was really fun, though. So let's talk about how do you want to work north to south, or do you want to do cities to rural, or how do you want to do?
Let's do north to south, because Panama in and of itself is a very skinny country.
We say north to south,
but
it's really more like west to east. Because if you look at the map, like most of Central America, it's like the oceans are on the east and the west, but Panama turns. So the oceans are on like the north and the south, which makes sunsets and sunrises super confusing when you're there.
Very confusing. You're like, oh, that's where is that, the north? And you're like, no, that's the east, or what? Yeah, it was weird.
Totally threw me off when we were there, because it felt like the sun was constantly rising in the west.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
So when you're entering in through Costa Rica, towards the top of Panama, it's all very much the same kind of, and by the same I mean it's very, it's still jungle. It still has a lot of the same animals up there, but I will say the roads changed.
Oh my gosh,
quite
Panama.
a bit.
This is clearly letting our overlander road tripper in us show, where you've driven some horrible roads through Mexico and other countries, but you get to Panama, and oh my goodness, probably the nicest road I've ever encountered in Central America.
It was so nice.
It was driving up into the mountains. We had just crossed the border into Panama, and it was from David all the way up to Boquete.
And David is spelled like David.
Yeah, so David up to Boquete. And Boquete's up in the mountains, and it was really hot down in David because it sits at sea level. And then it climbs like 3,500 or 4,000 feet up into the mountains, but it's this perfectly smooth, gradual gradient. In fact, there are a lot of cyclists out on this road. Like every time we drove up and down this road, we did it a few times, there were tons of cyclists out. Mm-hmm. But yeah, great roads, great infrastructure. And it's kind of like Costa Rica. Really, a lot of Central America is like this, because you have the mountain range going down the middle of it, where it's like ocean and then there's the mountains. And Panama was no different. So we crossed the border at sea level, and then we went straight to Boquete to enjoy the mountains.
Yeah, and it's very cool up in Boquete. It's like eternal spring, 70, 80 degrees. It feels very, very nice up there. But this is the coffee region of the country.
Yeah.
A lot of great coffee, and they know it. They have a lot of coffee farms, a lot of coffee tours, the coffee shops. There's a couple of cool ones up there. We found a really cool coffee shop that we loved in Panama City, and then we didn't realize that they had a branch up in Boquete.
Yeah, they have a farm up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you could actually go to their location downtown Boquete. Oh, shoot. What was the name of that? Unido? Is it Unido?
I think it's
UNIDO.
Yeah.
Unido, I think is the name of it. But they had great coffee, and we didn't go to their farm, but we did go to other coffee farms up there. There is this one loop, if you look at the map with Boquete, so you go through the downtown, and then there's this one loop that kind of, I don't think it's actually called the coffee loop, but it's what I refer to it as, because there are so many little coffee farms off this one loop road, and they're beautiful. And you can kind of do like coffee farm hopping, kind of like you would do like winery tours in California, where you go to different vineyards. Here you can go to the coffee farms, and a lot of them have little coffee shops where you can drink the coffee and enjoy the beautiful views. And they are stunning views. Like the hills there are just steep rolling, and you've got the farms, the coffee farms all over them. It's just absolutely beautiful. And like Chris said, it's eternal spring there. So everything's always blooming. The birds are really beautiful.
Boquete is a destination for expats. A lot of expats are moving there.
A lot of retirees, including my parents, are interested in moving there now.
Yeah, they all see things on YouTube and on the internet, and they're like, wow, that actually looks pretty nice. And it is a nice town.
It is really nice. It was kind of interesting because I had not seen a lot of like the indigenous people. A lot of the countries in Central America have become very colonized over the years, and you don't see a lot of those indigenous groups anymore, except for Guatemala. You saw a lot of them in like Antigua and up Lake Atitlan and all that. But then you get to Boquete, and there were a lot of indigenous people there, and they still wear the women still wear their traditional outfits and all. And that was really neat. I will say it was sort of like a weird, I don't know. There's a lot of expats and a lot of tourists. And then there were the indigenous people who were very nice. The couple that we interacted with, they definitely kept to themselves more than the ones in like Guatemala. A little bit more unsure of us, but it was sort of weird that you have all these like really nice coffee farms, and it seemed like the only people working on the coffee farms were the indigenous people. And then it was like everybody else in the town. So it was kind of like this weird balance of
a weird dynamic.
That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. I was just kind of stuttering over here. Yeah, it was a weird dynamic. It kind of made me uncomfortable, actually. I will say the locals that were working the farms didn't seem that happy. They were the ones walking up and down these hills or taking public transit.
And they're hills. Like, there's a lot.
They are hills. So that was sort of, I'd say it wasn't ideal. It made me feel uncomfortable. Like, they weren't being treated well. And this is just my impression. Like, I think you can tell a lot about the lifestyle people are living based on like how receptive they are to foreigners or how receptive they are to expats, people who just don't look like they belong there like we.
And it did feel like they were over it.
They felt like they were over it. And part of me was wondering, is it because they've been so, their town's gotten so expensive. There's just so many expats. They've taken the best real estate for themselves. They've taken the best jobs for themselves. Like, is it that where they've experienced it for so long that they're sick of it? Or is it still such a new thing they haven't realized that sometimes having an international presence and especially like a tourism industry can actually help them too? Because like in Costa Rica, a lot of the people who grew up, not just the indigenous groups, but like the people who were, Hispanic and stuff like that, they end up making their own businesses. They're self-employed because they have this tourism industry. I can't tell if it's just that Panama is newer to the tourism industry compared to like Antigua, Guatemala, or the rest of Costa Rica, to where they haven't seen that benefit yet. So I don't know. It was sort of like this weird dynamic though. So I don't want to like knock the area or put this on them that like, oh, the expats are so bad in Boquete, but you do see like this weird, they didn't mix a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. It was something that you noticed, and you may not notice it at first when you first get to town, but then when you're walking around and you're sort of interacting with people from, all walks of life, that's when you start noticing it. And again, this is just our brief time there. So we don't know the whole dynamic history situation that's been happening there, but it's just kind of how we felt.
Yeah, it definitely felt unusual. Like we would go out to eat in Boquete and it was all like the affluent, it's all like the pretty financially successful individuals at restaurants and stuff like that who, are Hispanic, Latin origin, and they grew up in other parts of, and they grew up either in Boquete or other parts of Panama. A lot of Panamanians, I can never get that word right, will weekend up in Boquete or go up for the day because especially from like David where it's 90 degrees, you can go up to the mountains, it'll be 75. It's an hour away. So a lot of people will go up there on the weekends, and it's definitely like, it's more not necessarily tourists and expats versus like locals. It was more just like everybody versus the indigenous. I don't want to say versus because that sounds hostile, but
yeah,
we're definitely spending a lot of time talking on this. I just feel like I'm having to like backpedal. Well, it's always a very sensitive topic because I don't know the history of it, but it definitely kind of made me feel like
But it's something that stuck with you. But it's not something against Panama or whatever. It was this dynamic that we saw happening there, and it stood out.
It did stand out. Yeah, it kind of made me. Yeah, I was very aware of like how I was interacting and what I was doing while I was there. Like how are my actions affecting them in their everyday life? So. And that's just true of every place you travel to. You need to be aware that when you visit, you're visiting someone else's home. So like, how are you entering and how are you treating it? But Boquete was lovely. And I'm not saying don't go there. In fact, the tallest mountain in Central America is in Boquete or right outside. And this is a really cool place. And I really wanted to do it, but it was a 13-something mile hike. And truthfully, my hip is in bad shape right now. So we could not physically do this trip. But this mountaintop, you can hike up to it and you can watch the sunrise over the Caribbean and the sunset over the Pacific. It's the only place in Central America where it's the only place in the world where you can see the sunrise and sunset on two different oceans in the same place, which is pretty neat.
Pretty cool. Panama, driving, like we said, was a very nice luxury there. The roads were very smooth, but in order to get to from Boquete to Panama City, that is around a 7-hour drive.
8 hours, yeah.
8 hours.
For us.
Yeah. It's a drive. It was a drive. And so that's what we did, though. We had to drive down to Panama City because most of the other things that we wanted to see and where we needed to be at was towards the city.
Mm-hmm. And the city was very nice. If you've ever been to Miami, think Miami, but
it was very much like Miami,
nicer
but
than
cleaner
Miami?
And nicer. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Miami.
I do too. But Miami's loud. Like you think South Beach and you think, oh my goodness, a party all the time. I didn't see that as much in Panama City.
Panama City, they had their clubs and bumping at night, but Sarah and I were in bed by 6 p.m. So, we're not
like the early retirees.
We're not in that crowd whatsoever. But Panama City, it was something I just kept being fascinated by it and kind of impressed by it because I just did not realize, one, how big it is and just how much is happening in that city.
Yeah. So we've talked a little bit about the canal, but the canal has brought massive growth to the country, a lot of economic development. And you just see that. Just driving through Panama City, you see all sorts of international banks with skyscrapers in the city. And it's very clean. And not to say there aren't bad areas of town or less advanced areas, but for the most part, they've developed their public transit. They've got this incredible train system. It's it's not underground. It's not a subway, but it's like,
it's above ground.
Is it a monorail, I guess?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's super nice. Really, really great. Very affordable. And it's actually going all the way out of Panama City and up to at least an hour or two out of town. I think the plan is to put a train all the way to Viejo, though. So that's, and they're moving quickly
fast
with their infrastructure.
They see that they need to do this. They see that people are moving there. They're utilizing Panama City and their public transit is a part of the need for what they're wanting to accomplish with that country.
Yeah. In some ways, I feel like Costa Rica was more developed. They were more developed in the sense of they have the tourism, they have more hotels, they have more hotspots. But Panama is doing a lot of growth that I think is going to be more long-term.
It's going to be fast too.
And it's fast and it's well done. It's not just they're throwing it up and hoping for the best. No, this is really well thought out. They have the money for it. They are just pouring the money back in. And then not only are the locals benefiting from it, but a lot of expats are moving there because it's a really easy city. Panama City is a 4.5 hour flight from Atlanta. So it's super close for us. That's faster than flying across the country. In fact, between our times in Panama, when we had to fly out to that conference, it was in Vegas, and the flight to Vegas was almost the exact same length as it was from Atlanta to Panama.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. Oh man. And when you land in Panama City, you'll probably rent a car because you need to get around. And I want to let you know firsthand that having Sarah and her father in the car while I drove was an accomplishment in and of itself, because people in Panama and Central America do not drive like they drive in the United States.
Hey, they are on defense all the time.
They are on defense. And I actually appreciate it because here in the States, people are on their phones. They're distracted all the time. And I feel like people in the States feel so safe that they don't think. And
yeah, they kind of go on autopilot.
They go on autopilot. And in Panama City, there is no autopilot. It is do or die. You are one with the road. And hearing the little tiny gasp out of both of Sarah and her dad as I would zip through.
He killed it, though.
Oh, man, I was awesome.
Chris did an amazing job driving in Panama. But you do need to go in knowing, just like many countries, that you need to be aware that you got to be on guard. You got to be alert.
You got to be on guard.
Sometimes you just have to go for it. You can't hesitate. The second you hesitate, somebody's going to cut you off. Is that what you're going to say?
Well, that is the best piece of advice that we've been given. They're like, do not hesitate. Just do it.
Don't show weakness. The second you turn around to look a second time, they will go. You cannot turn around and look too many times.
It sounds like you're in the Karate Kid. Don't show weakness.
No weakness.
No weakness. Yeah. And it's true. But once you have that hesitation, once you hesitate, that's when the accident happens. Because they're expecting you to keep going. And people would cut me off expecting me to stop. I had to, and I did stop, so it is what it is.
But make sure if you rent a car that you get insurance or have it with you.
Yeah, I would.
Panama's much cheaper to rent a car than Costa Rica. I think we rented a car for 10 days when we were there with my dad, and I think we paid, I want to say it was $200.
Yeah.
And it wasn't much.
If you're not used to driving in that kind of environment, I would highly, highly, highly recommend getting insurance. Just because.
You need it. Yeah. But I'd say if you're going to go to Panama and you want to see more than Panama City, which I think you definitely should, rent a car. Yeah. Just go ahead and be brave. Rent the car. Do it. You'll be fine. They drive on the same side of the roads we do here in the U.S. You don't have to worry about that.
No.
They have great signage that have traffic lights just like in the States. You just got to, be aware. Drivers are playing defense.
And Panama City in and of itself is such a great city to be in. You could be there as a digital nomad and live there. The walking paths that they have.
Oh, it's so nice.
It is such a nice city. And even the historic part.
Casco Viejo is the old Panama City. Oh, and it's so beautiful. It's beautiful. It is probably the most well-preserved historic area we have seen in Central America.
Yeah. And we were
absolutely lovely.
We loved it. I think we can't say nicer things about Panama. And I remember being in that historic part with your dad and us, and we were walking. And we decided to walk. There's this cool looking house and there was somebody outside, but who cares? And we were walking through it and all of a sudden this guard shows up. He's like, "What are you doing? You can't be here." And we're like, "Sorry, we just kind of wanted to see the ocean. What's behind this building?" And he's like, No.
He was nice. He was nice. Like, "You need to get out of here."
And come to find out, that's where the president of Panama lives. And
whoops, and he was home. So, there were the guards, but we just walked right past them, not thinking. Like, we honestly thought it was just like a tourist thing. And they came out and they saw that we were making an honest mistake, but they were nice about it.
They were nice.
But they were quick.
He was quick. He was like rustling out of that building that he was in. So.
Yeah, we came back with our cameras and stuff. And we look super touristy. Yeah. But Casco Viejo, that's a whole worthy place to talk about because like we said, when we were there with my dad, when we went back after we dropped the truck off in port, we had several days to just hang out in Panama. I think it was like 9 days from the time we dropped it off in the port to the time we left. They want you to stay until your truck actually leaves port. That's sort of like the, not rule, but they highly recommend it just in case something goes wrong. So we bopped around when we were there in Panama City. We stayed in Casco Viejo, and that was really fun. It was such a super safe area. And it makes more sense now that we know that the Panamanian president lives down there.
We didn't know that at the time.
Regular roadblocks, checks all the way. Like, in fact, the apartment we stayed in, every day and every night there was a police checkpoint right there on that corner. And it was sort of like Casco Viejo has it's been very renovated. There's still room to grow and continue renovating, but you also see the real Panamanians still living there, and they probably have for generations. And they definitely, I wouldn't say they're slums, but some of them are lower income, but they don't feel dangerous. They feel very safe. In fact, 1 or 2 blocks over from our apartment was a soccer field and a swimming pool where they swim laps, and they have a swim team and they have soccer teams. And, it was just like you could see the little bits of the locals living their life still in the midst of this very touristy area. So it was kind of fun. Like, where we stayed was like right on the cusp of that. But I really enjoyed, we just walked around there every day, and then we would take the car and we'd park over, what's the Malacan there? It's right along the water. It's through the main area of Panama City. But
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we walked it several miles long. Met some locals out there. One guy stopped and talked to us for like an hour. He ended up walking with us for like a mile and a half. Yeah. Super nice guy. But Panama is just, it's very livable.
Very, very livable. And like I said, the one thing that I knew about Panama was the Panama Canal. And that was on my list. I'm like, hey, I really want to see the canal. Like, that's probably the oldest man thing that I will do. I feel
I was fascinated by it.
I want to see it. You hear all about it all the time. You've seen History Channel. And Panama City is maybe, 30 minutes from the canal?
45. Yeah, it's very close.
Very, very close.
You can take a bus, a taxi, a rental car, anything out there.
And I will say that it was not at all what I expected.
So well done. How much was it? It was like $20 a person to get in for tourists.
That is something to mention. Panama takes U.S. currency, by the way.
That does make it very, very easy. They have their own coins, but cash is all the same. Like, all U.S. cash is like their currency.
So I think it was like $15 to get into the canal.
I'll need to look that back up, but it wasn't bad. But with your ticket, not only do you get to go to the viewing platform to actually watch the ships come through, but you can also watch, they have an IMAX theater, so it's in 3D, but a 45-minute movie that was narrated by Morgan Freeman. It was so well done.
Like, you go to this canal, and then there's this huge banner of Morgan Freeman on the side of an IMAX theater.
We both drove up. We were like, that's Morgan Freeman, I think.
I'm like, did the boats go through here? Like, what is this place? It actually very sort of similarly reminded me of the DMZ in Korea.
A little bit, but less.
Yeah, less military. Yeah,
military presence.
Yeah. Less North Korea vibes.
North Korea. Yeah. No, it was just Panama, but it was the video was actually very well done. It showed the history of it. It talked about the pros and the cons of it. And it just beautifully shot to show the nature of Panama. Because like we said in our last episode about Costa Rica, I feel like Costa Rica for so long has been marketing on the wildlife, but Panama has a lot of the same wildlife. Mm-hmm. In fact, as we were driving out to the Panama Canal, a toucan like flew right in front of our car, and my dad stopped. He was like, "There's a toucan!" Yeah, and it was really cool.
And the only toucan I had seen on this trip was sleeping for them. Yeah, I think that's the only one. It was sleeping. So to see this bird fly, and the beak is just huge.
They look heavy, but they're actually hollow, so they're really light.
Yeah, it was just incredible seeing this thing fly. So yeah, your dad, that was
pretty cool. Yeah, and the area around the canal, there's a national park out there, so you can go and you can hike. You can see more wildlife, but the toucan was sort of the highlight for us. But after the movie with Morgan Freeman, we all walked up to the platform and we watched the boat come in. And there are times that they come in every day. And I think it was like 2:30 that day.
Yeah.
So we got up there. They have bleachers you can watch. The higher up you can go, the better view you're going to get.
That's what I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting like a stadium to where you can just sit and watch these boats. And like everybody on the boat will come out and they're just waving. It was almost like a bad Disney parade. It was like they were sweet. They were sweet. All the crew members were like waving at everybody at the canal. And everybody in the canal was like clapping because of this huge
ship. Oh my word. So we were on the Pacific side at the canal. So when they're coming through, we got to watch the boat lower because when they come in from the Caribbean side, they raise with each one. Yeah. Each lock that closes. But we were on the Pacific side, so we watched them lower to get back to sea level. It was really interesting.
And you can watch as many videos as you want, as many documentaries. It's still does not, like, you cannot understand the actual scale of this place until you're there.
And even in Panama City, like especially on like Casco Viejo, which is kind of this little peninsula that juts out into the ocean, it's a really pretty view because from Panama City, you can see Casco Viejo out there. And then when you're on Casco Viejo, you get a great view of the skyline looking because they kind of are separate, like the peninsula kind of separates it. But when you're out there and looking from Panama City, you can see dozens of ships just waiting to go through the canal. I mean, there's a bridge you drive over to go up to like northern, like David and Boquete, like out of the city of Panama City. It's just right there on the, like, it's right in the city pretty much, but it's like how you head out of the city. And this bridge is where the ships all go through, and there's just dozens and dozens of ships. They're just like absolutely massive. It's very impressive. It's very impressive.
And, talking with some locals there, we met some friends who worked on our truck and talking with them, they were saying, the rain is our oil. Like we need the rain so desperately because without the rain, the canal doesn't work.
It doesn't work. And it has been getting lower, but I think they had a good rain year last year.
I think they had a good rain.
So things are good right now, but yeah, their economy is largely booming just because of the canal.
Yeah.
They've really marketed on it. Like, props to you, Panama. Like, they've really done a lot. I was very impressed. Like, I will say I did not know much about Panama until we started going there. I had heard things and, heard positive things, but not any of that like vacation hype that you hear about Costa Rica. But my parents are very interested in moving there because, they're retired. The dollar goes really far there. It's, good weather. It's safe, that kind of thing. And so they had done a lot of research on it. My dad was so excited to visit Panama, and I think his excitement wore off on me. And they were like, he was showing us around things like he had done way more research than we had. And I was like, okay, I get it.
Yeah,
now.
I get it. And, it was funny to hear his thoughts because honestly, he was really interested in Boquete.
Yeah.
And he like, let's go there. Let's see it. And we went there and he was like, okay, I understand it. I see it. And he liked it. But then he started falling in love with other places along the trip, even more than Boquete, I would say.
He actually really liked Panama City, which my parents are not super city people.
No, but he was like, this is great. Like, I get it. And I think what was happening is he was seeing me drive through there and he wanted to prove to us that he could do it too. I think that's why the city worn off on him, like why he likes Panama City. He's like, I can do the city.
he could do the city. My parents are not that old. They're in great shape. They could totally handle it. I think my mom hasn't been yet. And I think she's, she hasn't traveled internationally besides to Mexico one time.
I would pay so much money to drive your mom around in Panama City, though.
I don't know if I could do that. That would stress me out. That would test the relationship.
Well, I just want to hear her scream as I dart in front
my
of
mom.
people.
Yes, she is. Learning to drive with my mom versus learning to drive with my dad when I was a kid, night and day. My mom was like helicopter mom. She was, oh, the whole time. And my dad, the first time I ever drove, he's like, yeah, go ahead and merge on the interstate, kid. And he was like looking around and wasn't paying attention.
That's such a dad thing.
It's such a dad move. Yeah. Anyway, but Panama City was really nice. It was really fun to see it through like my dad's eyes because, they're thinking like they're retired. My dad's 65 this year. And he was noticing things like in Boquete, there's a lot of retirees, but the sidewalks are in horrible shape. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's sketchy. And then you throw in that it's raining a lot of the time out there because it's in the mountains and very rainforesty. And he pointed out, he's like, I don't think this is a good place for your mom and I to own a place because he's like, as we're going to get older, these sidewalks are very hazardous. Yeah. And they were, whereas in Panama City, things are a lot more up to code with like accessibility and that kind of thing.
Honestly, Panama City felt very much like the U.S.
It did.
Like a U.S. city.
Which is good and bad. I think I understand why a lot of expats are moving there. And it's not just American expats. I mean, there's expats from all over the world. It's very safe. It's very clean. They've got public transit. You've pretty much got everything you need as a foreigner that you want to feel familiar. I mean, you've got like great grocery stores. We even went into a pet store and they had Kramer's dog food. He eats Origin, which is a Canadian brand, but it's like organic and it's really high quality. And they had that dog food. That is the only time we've been able to find his dog food in Central America. And it was the same prices in the States.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really,
crazy.
like stuff like that. Chris and I were both like, oh,
Panama, okay. I feel like every country that we've talked about on this podcast, we're like, oh yeah, we'd go back, but Panama is definitely on our short list to go back.
Panama and Costa Rica. So let's talk about Panama versus Costa Rica for a second. Not that they would really want us to compare them, but it is hard not to when they're side by side. You see them next to each other, and I'd say they're definitely the most developed of the two, like of the Central American countries. Yeah. There are a lot of similarities.
Yeah, but Panama feels very much, to my understanding, more like Colombia and South America more than Central America.
Yeah.
But when you're comparing Costa Rica and Panama, Costa Rica has the whole animal thing down pat, the whole wildlife ecosystem, like ecotourism, like that is their bread and butter. And I don't feel like Panama does that well yet. They still have the animals. They have everything there. And we didn't get to experience everything in Panama, but I will say that Costa Rica does a better job at that so far.
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely easier, and you're going to have better sightings in Costa Rica as a whole.
Yeah.
There are places in Panama that we did not get to visit that I really wanted to. There's apparently some really great surfing, but we didn't get to do that this time because we were only in Panama for about 3 weeks.
It was a fast 3 weeks.
It was a fast 3 weeks, but yeah, the San Blas Islands especially, those are on the Caribbean side.
Yeah.
I would love to go and do that. One of the big things to do there is to take like a catamaran tour, but you hop on a boat and they'll take you to the different islands. Actually, one thing that's really cool is when you're an overlander and you're going from Panama to Colombia or vice versa, a lot of people will actually hire a sailboat to cross instead of flying. It's like, a 30, 45 minute flight to get to Cartagena, but people will take a few day boat ride on a sailboat and they could take their lithium batteries with them on the boat, which is kind of a little workaround.
We need to explain that. The Darien Gap is a part of Panama, and it is this section of basically swampland from Panama to Colombia.
There's a lot of bad there.
A lot of bad. It's very, very dangerous. You cannot drive through there. And the people that have been through there, most of them regret it.
Most people say they wish they had never gone through there. Like a lot of people do if they're trying to they're fleeing from, government instability and stuff like that in South America. Like a lot of refugees will flee through there. But as a whole, it is not recommended. The one thing I don't understand, this is where I'm like, Panama, could you please not market it that way? But if you look at Google Maps or something, it says Darien National Park. Darien,
it's
it's a tourist spot. No, you don't want to go there. There's I don't know if guerrilla warfare is the right word, but there's a lot of drug trafficking through there, a lot of gangs, a lot of violence that happens in there to where all the locals are like, just stay away. Do not go near it. They won't go near it either.
So that's why when you're driving the Pan American, when you reach Panama, you have to put your truck on a boat. And that's why Sarah's saying, well, some people actually get on a boat and instead of fly to Colombia, they'll just sail to it because it's not that far, but you have to put your truck, vehicle, whatever on a boat to get to Colombia to finish your drive.
Yeah. So if you aren't overlanders like us and you want to go to Panama, I'd say look into those tours of the San Blas Islands because I really wanted to do that. It just wasn't in the budget for this trip because as you're shipping out of Panama, like we were, it's expensive. You're paying thousands of dollars to get your car from point A to point B. We just decided, we've already seen a ton of beaches. I think that's somewhere I would go back to. Maybe in the winter, when we're home in the winter sometime. Like that's a quick flight from the U.S. Maybe go down there in the winter, enjoy some warm weather.
Highly, highly, highly recommend Panama. I think if you've never traveled outside the U.S., if maybe you're trying to get your footing and start doing more international travel, I would do Panama all day long.
Yeah, I think Panama and Belize are both and Costa Rica are all really good starting points. Panama's more affordable than Costa Rica, though.
Yes.
I mean, there's still some American pricing out there, but I think as a whole, it's much more affordable.
Much more affordable.
It's not as many like tourist trap pricings.
And I'm going to go ahead and say this. Sarah may disagree with me and say, why did you say that? But I don't care. I think the food in Panama is 10 times better than the food in Costa Rica. The food in Costa Rica was not good.
I don't know. I was on a passion fruit kick in Costa Rica.
I mean,
I was passion fruit smoothie every day.
The smoothies are one thing. Panama, like the food in Panama was so much better. What
are you referring to?
I mean, anything.
It's all very similar. It's kind of got that Caribbean rice and beans kind of idea.
And then maybe it comes down to like a pricing point because I remember paying so much money for food in Costa Rica, and I'm like, this is the most bland food I've ever tasted for the price.
I would agree with that, especially in the places that were more touristy. Even if they were saying like they're serving like local Tican food or whatever, Tico food, it wasn't good. It was overpriced. It wasn't flavorless. Good. I mean, there were places that had really good flavor. Every now and then you'd find one, but for the most part, like all of Central America, pretty much like rice and beans, fried plantains, rice and beans, fried plantains.
Yeah. But I'll never forget your dad's look though when we stumbled into that little town, into that little cafe for breakfast. Oh my gosh,
a little place for breakfast.
How much was it for breakfast?
We had I think it was like $8. We each got a drink, not alcoholic. It was like a Coke or something. We had 3 omelets. Chris and my dad each had a couple of meatballs because that was on the menu for breakfast. I mean, this is like more traditional kind of breakfast. So it was like whatever they were cooking that day. Yeah. And we got bread, their flat bread. I forgot what it's called. But it ended up being like $8.50. My dad looked at the check and he's like,
$8.50 for all 3 of us. And he, at that moment, he was checking plane tickets to fly your mom down right now. He's like, we're moving here. This is it. So that's not all of Panama. It was like a little
mom and pop place. Yeah. It was so good. And the service was really nice.
Super nice.
Good little omelet. So yeah, like that kind of stuff does exist. Prices are always going to be better when you eat like a local. We've said that so many times in the podcast, but Panama's no different.
Yeah. Guys, thanks so much for listening and being part of this episode. Again, we want to hear from you. If you've been to Panama, what did we miss? Please let us know. Leave it in the comments. We want to have this conversation because Panama is definitely a place that we're going to be going back to more and more, I feel like.
Yeah, I would love to go back. Yeah. All right. Oh, should we go ahead and kind of talk about what's next for us on this episode? So because I feel like the next episode is going to be kind of like culture shock.
If you're not following along on YouTube, when this episode comes out, we have decided not to ship our truck to Colombia because even though that Darien Gap is only 60, 70 miles long, that was a lot of money to ship our truck to for whatever reason.
We're talking $5,500 for a 3-day boat ride. It
was going to be well over $6,000. So Sarah...
all things considered.
So Sarah had the bright idea. When something like that happens, you pivot. Like you just gotta, and we explain more about this on our YouTube channel. So make sure that you go over there and you can watch that video.
Don't tell them where we're going.
But we are going not to Colombia. We are going across the sea. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
So stay tuned.
Just trust us. It'll be very different from Panama.
All right. See y'all next time.
Yeah.